What was that? Okay, cool. When you are in the relationship and you're on the floor, you're in the moment, horizontal thinking, so many other things come into play. You connect this, and you get thousands of thoughts, and your mind doesn't stop thinking. And so what you need to do is, okay, you can get caught up in this matrix of thinking, right? Or you can say, hey, let me hop in the elevator, hop up a couple of floors and do some vertical thinking and look down at the bigger picture and have a look at what else is happening around the relationship that maybe I didn't see, or that I'm not seeing, my blind spots. Maybe this is happening because there's other things over here and other things over here. It's all part of the jigsaw puzzle of life. When you get to realize that, hey, this is playing a role for my experience here with these other people, then maybe you start to view this differently. So, and then you start to change your thinking. You say, okay, well, the only reason I'm acting this way is because I have a specific thought. My thought leads to an emotion, leads to a habit. How do you change the habit? Change the thought. So move my intention to something else. As long as you give the behavior and the intention thought, you keep on suffering and experience it. Change your thought.
So for those people that are going to many dates and they keep finding there's a new person and I notice a pattern that is very common these days. It's people, they go on dating and they keep saying, well, nobody is good enough. And then they always kind of, I even know some people like that go through dates and there is something wrong with that person. So they can be right on, nobody's good enough for me, or I can never find my right partner, or nobody wants to take it seriously, or whatever is the excuse. And then it comes out as about you being centered and saying, I choose now to allow myself to have a perfect relationship or to have a great relationship, or I'm going to create that. So I would love to hear what you have to say about that.
I really love what you said there, because I think that's a big part in today's world. I was reading your post today. It's exactly what you put in your post today. You said you gotta learn how to say no when you always say yes, right? And I think that's the first part of growth. A lot of us fall into a codependent relationship. We say yes, 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 yes all the time because we're needy, right? And so we need to learn to say no. But here's what I've started to realize, and I'm starting to see from a lot of people. People are getting on this no high horse, a self-righteous high horse, right? And they start to say no, 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 no. I'm super confident. I can do everything by myself. And they've stopped saying yes to possibility. They've stopped saying yes to themselves. And they block themselves out to saying yes because of the pattern of trauma of saying yes in the past.
And that comes from the fear, from the trauma, from I see you as my ex, or I see you as the pain that I had in my previous relationship. I'm terrified to deal with it. If I open
which means we haven't healed it yet, and that's okay. But to say, I'm okay with it, I've healed it, no, 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 as a defense mechanism, it may serve you in that moment. It's protection, it's survival, right? It's a human instinct to stay alive, to survive. You don't want to be hurt. You're not hurt in the short term. But in the long term, when you're sitting there being by yourself and realizing you have the opportunity to share, to be open, to do really what I believe part of our essence of the human spirit is here, to actually express ourselves and share with other people. I mean, yeah, you miss that out because of that fear. So then the question is, what's the bigger pain? Is the bigger pain the possible pain in the present or the possible pain in the future? And most people live in the present with a bigger pain in the present. And so, no. And no served them so they can stand up, become confident and express themselves and be an individual. But ultimately, the no's become a pattern and is stopping them from actually being open to new possibilities, to new love.
Oh, this is so beautiful.
To a new expression. And you can see the people, man, and it's like, I'm not saying that I know it all. I've gone through my stuff, right? But you can see the people that they say they've done the work and they say, no, I just want to be by myself. I get it. There's a time to be by yourself and time to be by yourself.
Yeah,
But
and
you
that's
know when someone,
to
yeah,
take some time to
yeah.
feel or to go through,
Mm,
but don't be there forever.
mm. So the thing, are you saying no to avoid the yes? Or you're saying no because you're congruent with it?
Mm, mm.
I remember I had a lady that came to see me a long time ago. She was doing some work with us, and she said to me, look, can you help me? Can you, because we're doing some mind body work and some muscle testing the body to see, ideally, through kinesiology, what is one of the things that, what's the thing that she wanted to do. She didn't know whether she should stay in the relationship or not stay in her relationship.
Very common. Very common.
And so
Stop
I
staying
said to her,
and
okay,
not happy, or not leaving and not happy.
yeah, a common thing, right? So I said to her, okay, look, I hear what you're saying. Now, let's say I did some work with you. And as we did the work, your body indicated, or through this muscle monitoring process, it said, leave the relationship, and you were miserable all your life. Who are you going to blame? Right? And what if your body said, stay, and you were miserable all your life? Who are you going to blame? So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to work with your body so the body can tell you what to do. I think you know what to do. You've got the answers inside. What I hear you saying, though, is part of you wants to stay and part of you wants to go. So you're sitting on a fence.
A lot of
Right?
people are at home right
Okay.
now in a relationship,
So
in that problem right
so
now.
here's the work that you need to do. When you stay on the fence, avoiding the fear of with and without, you become frozen. You become stuck. People think the space in the middle is neutrality, is a space of power, not when you're avoiding the with and without.
Ooh, this is good. This is good.
Right? Being in this space of power, when you can say, you know what? I'm okay with being in this relationship, and I'm okay without being in this relationship. Because when you can be on that fence and say, you know what, let me think about being in this relationship. What comes up for me? What are the issues for me? Have I dealt with them? Have I healed them? Am I allowing myself to express myself and allow that person to be who they need to be in it? Yes, I'm okay with being in it. No charge with being in it. But when you think about not being in it, if you're charged because you need love in your life, then you're only here avoiding that, not congruent.
Oh, this is good. This is
So,
good.
so you think this is going to be wonderful, but you're only there avoiding the fear here, right? And then if being in it causes pain because of the past, and you feel smothered, you can't be free, or whatever the case is, then you live your life here. I'm okay without relationships. Yeah, that's me. You got no problem without relationships. So are you here avoiding the fear of that? So either way, you're making a decision of fear. You could be here thinking that's it for you, but you're running away from that. And you can be here thinking that's it for you, but you're running from that. What if you can do the work where think about being in a relationship? What comes up for you? Have you healed that? Are you clear? Are you neutral with that? And then think about not being in a relationship, being on your own. What comes up for you? The loneliness, whatever else might be. Are you clear with that? No charge. Because when there's no charge being in the relationship, I said to this lady, and no charge without being in it, you're going to be in the best position to make the right decision for yourself in a most congruent way.
Wow. And that will take some work. That's not going to come right away.
So I said, the work we can do with you is, let's get you thinking about being in it and what are the emotions that come up and help you do the work to get the lessons from that and let them go. And then do the same thing when you think about not being in it, what comes up for you, and do the work to let them go. So if you can then be detached from both these things, you can then be in a space for your own personal power and make a decision that's congruent with your truth. Because if you go there or there, you're going there because that's right for you. You're not going there out of avoiding all the other thing.
And the relationships also, I love this. I really love this. And a lot of people, I think they're going to get a lot of healing and clarity from hearing this. And another thing that I want to bring it up is the relationship doesn't fail if it transition into something else. It could transition into a friendship. It could transition into being
Yeah, absolutely.
it could transition into being enemies. It's your choice. You can choose to make something. I love, if you love somebody and if you had a relationship with that person, how can you honor it forward and make an agreement and continue that relationship in a way that honors the love that was there at first? And yes, the relationship has ups and downs, and sometimes it's almost feels like if it's ending, if you're that frustrated that you're thinking about ending, if it's going to end, it's because it's not good right now, but it doesn't mean that was not good before, and doesn't mean that love doesn't need to be honored and you can remain friends later on. You must
and that he won't
hurt.
perfect, and that he won't be even better in the future. You just got to go through the cycle.
Ooh, okay, so that is that too. And
Absolutely,
it could change,
because here's the thing. There's 5 cycles we go through. It's Chinese elements, the 5 elements of life, right? And Tony Robbins talks about the 5 elements in terms of our personality types. We got the upward surging phase, the birth of something. So this is when you start the new relationship. It's all exciting. There's a big vision. That's excitement. And then there's the upward surging phase, the fire element. This is where it's like you're wearing red hats. It's like, you know, hot, steamy, exciting. You're thinking about the other person doing all stuff. And then you go into the mature phase, the earth element. We start to appreciate each other, and you start to, I suppose, get comfortable with each other. And those, while you're doing those 3 steps, you're quite purposeful, intentional. But there's a point when you mature in a relationship, you stop doing all the things that got you to mature that relationship. You take the foot off the accelerator. You become complacent. And Robin Sharma says the most vulnerable we are in our life is the moment we think we arrived. So when you think you've arrived in a relationship, you stop doing the wood, the fire, the earth, the conscious development of the relation, and then you fall into the metal element, which is decay, old habits. Things start to break down. The relationship starts to break down. You're not getting the same results. And you start to look at this, what happened there? You start to see all the things in that person that you didn't like. And it's because of you. You're living that way. It's a reflection of you, right? This is the metal element. This is the decay. This is where you're starting to realize you need to let go of something. And a lot of people jump back up here. They go backwards, jump back up here to remember the good old days, to rekindle it. But they've already rattled things up. And the only way to get back up here is if they go full circle. They've got to say, you know what? We need to let go of something. We need to bring something to an end. This is the death phase, the completion phase in Chinese element. You got to go through the water phase, through the darkness, because it's only through the darkness that the light can shine again. And you can rise up in the relationship in a different perspective, a different way, a different come back stronger. And so, what needs to happen? I really believe in relationships, Alexandra, and this is from my experience too. You know, and I know this is where you know, when you know something. It's one thing to know it, but it's another thing to implement it. All right. And I think you learn it once you realize you didn't implement it. Right. And you get to this point here when you start to get these results and you start to think things are falling apart, we miss the signs. We're blind. We just put it down to it's just a bad day. It'll pass. But then there's another bad day. And then there's another bad day. And we fall into these old habits and we stop doing all those conscious things that made each other happy and appreciate each other. As soon as you need to have a contract with this person, I believe. That as soon as you have either of you have this experience, you need to communicate. Because you need to say, you know what, hey, remember all this, we did fantastic here, but something's going on here. Right now, we're giving ourselves the greatest opportunity for our greatest growth in our lives. Right now, we've chosen each other to learn from each other. Right now, we're now reflecting stuff from each other that we need to grow and learn from. And if we're not aware of it now, if we don't become conscious, this will fall apart and we'll end up hating each other. Or we can say, hey, who am I to you? And who are you to me? And it's got nothing to do with you. It's got to do with our past. Right? And allow ourselves to heal and let that go, bring that to an end. And putting yourselves through that, I'll guarantee will rise this relationship to a whole other level. You go into a new cycle, into a new wood, fire, earth. It's like the evolution of consciousness, the evolution of man. It's the evolution of your relationship. And many times we fail. When we say fail, we stop that and leave that relation when that person was the one that's taking us on that spiral upwards.
There's a few other things that can happen too. One of the things that I noticed, some people, this was so amazingly beautiful. Well, I cried a little. This is so beautiful. And I probably got a lot of healing from hearing that myself. Thank you. But I saw this pattern, and even in my relationships, where when I'm in that place where this is really not working, I have 1 foot out of the door, and then they start to try too hard, and then they give it all, and then they are too needy, and then they want it too much, and then they lose because now it becomes too sticky. Now it's trying too hard, and in that trying too hard, it becomes kind of
That's me. I do that.
And that's where women sometimes run, or men run, because then the other person is trying too hard, and they're not, and we see that they're not loving themselves. They're not having fun with themselves. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not living a life of purpose. Now I become the purpose, and now it's no longer fun. It's no longer, I don't want to be your purpose. I want you to have your purpose. I want you to have your light. If you lose your light to be all about me, then it's not interesting. And I see women and men do that, and it's sad. It's a dynamic that, and then the relationships end too, because, and that's a very delicate time in a relationship.
Absolutely. Like you hit the nail on the head there, because again, you mentioned your experience. It's exactly my experience and exactly what I'm going through now.
Oh, wow.
Right? Wow. And so, because I look at how my, 25 years marriage, how it ended a couple of years back, right? And the work I need to do to understand that, well, we didn't have this part here, this communication, where we missed all the signs. And so it just fell apart. Right? And meeting someone new where there's this growth and everything else, thinking we got here, I'm starting to realize I'm falling into these patterns. Exactly what you said. But for me, having the communication now and saying, you know what? It's either I evolve this or repeat it. I'm realizing I'm repeating a pattern. And I'm thinking, shit, how good is it? It hasn't taken me another 25 years to realize. And not to say that my 25-year relationship was an awesome relationship. It made me the person I am today. And I couldn't have the awareness I have today. And so being able to say, you know what, hey, is this important to me? Of course it is. How did this happen? It happened because I was that person. I was that person with a vision, with a purpose, going out there. But suddenly when that changed, I no longer became that person. So of course this person's not going to want to hang around with you if you're no longer the person that you were. And you try too hard. You try too hard because you fear, what if it doesn't work? And what I was fearing, that I will be rejected again. I was fearing I was going to be left alone again. I was fearing that I was going to stuff it up again.
And here is the thing that I think we need to remember is that there's a lot of people on this earth, and each person in this planet can say this. You are only alone if you choose to be alone. Because we all have opportunities, people, places, things to do. some people say people to do things to see, or whatever way you want to do it. We are only alone if we want to be alone. And when we remember that, then something changes.
So then evolve or repeat.
Whew.
And that, for me, that's the biggest lesson. It's like, okay, so I went through what I went through. I thought I evolved until I realized I was about to repeat it again.
And now it's,
And then realize what I just mentioned. Like if we understand this flow, I need to allow myself to go to the flow. So I've got to allow myself to be in, when you move into letting go of something, into the fear, I need to let go of that. I need to just allow it to be. I just, maybe this is where, well, I've got to be okay with myself. Am I really okay with myself?
yeah. And then here's another thing. If I am not interesting, if I am not what you want, if you are not sure about being with me, then I'm not sure about being with you at all. How about do we stand on there? Because if you're trying to be with somebody that is not wanting to be with you, then the most important attribute to be your lover, your partner, your romantic partner, or whatever, is that they want to be with you. If they don't want to be with you, then they don't qualify. And some people forget that there's a big qualifier here. It's like, if that qualification is not there, I can't do that. What do you think of that? It's too harsh?
No, I agree. It's good. and I've got to tell you, for me, telling you my story, I think the biggest lessons I've had, and I've been able to learn a lot about myself, is through, this girl I was telling you about. She's working with us now. She's doing some stuff, and we're open. We understand the journey that we're on, because she's been on a journey too, and she's done a lot of work for herself to actually, after she separated from her husband 6 years ago, on a journey that she went of healing. And it's probably one person that's been able to call me on my shit, Alexandra. You mentioned before that I'm pretty good calling people on shit, but there's a lot of people don't call me on mine. Maybe I scare them too much, but she's done that. And this is where it's got me to realize the evolve or repeat part. And I know we're doing some great stuff together. We put this course together. I want to talk about the Healing the Big Hurt. It's like an online course, and we're doing a whole range of other online courses, as I said before, to be able to move into the programs that we have. So yeah,
beautiful.